One of the things that in my spiritual journey that I have discovered about myself personally is that when I get into an area that I feel safe or vulnerable, or when I talk with someone one on one, and um, and if it is a time of change, of let's say all of the things that I mentioned in the healing meditation, um, a time of deepening into my own beliefs, a time of digging deeper into faith. That when I get in situations like this or talking one on one of people, that a lot of emotional power or begins to be generated. And so I'm mentioning that because we all have different ways of expressing our feelings, and places and times that we have more of an ability to do that. So while I am feeling in general very tender, I also feel very strong. And the more that I this week have allowed myself to feel all the various human reactions, frailties, thoughts, ideas, concern, worry, um, et cetera, that that it's actually opened up a space in me for light to come through. And so what I know about that from my own personal experience is that if I'm shutting things down in myself, that there's a repression that's going on, and that greater truth, whatever needs to be revealed, um, a deepening of my faith, which is a belief in the unknown, that there is a power for good in the universe, and that we can use it, we can trust it, and that it is always there. And we see it in nature. And the lyrics of your song, Lisa, expressed that. I feel so beautifully. So um, so in doing this week, and I've asked myself, what is mine to do? What is it that I know? What is it that I know grounds me in this greater truth that we're communicating about this morning? And the most powerful spiritual practice that I have ever been taught, learned, and practiced is spiritual mind treatment. So, how to spiritualize your mind is what I want to talk about. And I recognize that there are many ways to spiritualize your mind. So you could go for a walk in nature, you could do some form of creativity, you could connect with someone, you can meditate, you can use affirmations. And meditation and affirmations are two of the spiritual practices that the science of mind really embraces, recommends, and teaches, along with spiritual mind treatment. Now, when I am in a place, and maybe you might find this for yourself, when I'm in a place of worrying about what's manifesting in the world, or what I think is going wrong, um, to put it short, um, I have learned that what's got a hold on me is my intellect. And so really what needs to be spiritualized is my intellect. And in order to do that, I have to lay it down. I have to lay it down in spite of all of the judgments and the things that I'm clinging to. And then I move into the 5 steps of treatment. So what I want to do today is to go through those steps, and I hope all of you have the handout, which is a brief description of the 5 steps. And we'll go, in a moment, we'll go through this together. So as I said a moment ago, compassion for ourselves can lead us to wisdom. Compassion for ourselves creates an opening within ourselves for wisdom, love, greater truth, for something new to be revealed. Judgment of ourselves or others limits our ability to move forward and to be part of a solution. Can we all agree that we must move forward? No matter where we are on the spiritual spectrum, the political spectrum, and I like to think of political's not a dirty word. Political really is about policies. And to really move a policy, you need to have a vision beneath it. I'm just thinking to myself, oh, maybe I should take her class. And here is a principle, and when I say principle, I mean something that does not change. The nature of God within us is always seeking greater expression. The nature of God, of infinite presence, the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent aspect of the one is always seeking a greater expression through its creation. How could it not? Because the infinite one, God, Spirit, infinite source, is the creator, and it can't stop creating. It creates out of itself, which is pure wholeness. And as that moves in consciousness, since we're one with it, it's looking for places. It's looking for people, aspects of itself, to move through. But if we're judging and closed off and in limitation and even just going through our day-to-day default, we go, everything's okay, I'm happy, whatever. Still, are we knowing that we're open at the top for this new revealing to move through us? We have to be porous in order to move forward. So the daily guides in the November, I think it's November, December now that they're doing bi-monthly, Reverend Dr. Jim Lockhart is writing the daily guides, and I want to read you what he says right at the very beginning. The universe is unlimited. Although we are subject to limitations in consciousness, we are also capable of changing and eliminating these limitations. We accomplish this through rigorous and regular spiritual practice. that direct our subconscious beliefs to a greater acceptance of the good that already exists within us as pure potential. Abundance, peace, love, wholeness, and more is ours to the degree that we allow it. So, spiritual mind treatment. You know, when John and I were, and maybe some others of you were really involved in the youth program, we taught spiritual mind treatment to the kids. Do you remember the 5? Putting you on the spot. God, no, wait. I have, yes. Yeah. You know, so I'll say it again. So each one of those things is, it sounds so simple and it makes so much sense, but it is, as Dr. Lockhart says, it is the rigorous and regular spiritual practice that moves this into being. God is. So you can, if you want, you can look at the first step. We call this recognition. God is all there is. God is all there is. Period. Plain and simple. Step 2, unification. We identify, we declare and begin to know. And this is a speaking out loud. This is not something we're just, I mean, we can mull it over while we're mowing the lawn or doing the dishes. But this is as a rigorous and regular spiritual practice, we sit down and we begin to speak the truth. And you may have had the experience that when you begin to do this, that you feel real shaky and like, oh, you know, yeah, I can believe this is the truth, but I'm sure not feeling like that. But the point of the spiritual mind treatment and spiritualizing our mind, which is within the one mind, see, there's not 2 minds. There's one infinite mind that we are using. We're personalizing it. It's our individualized use of the one. So when and one of the aspects of humanity is that we have an intellect. We can overthink, we can underthink. We want to spiritualize that. That's the shaky part of us. So we begin to speak the truth. And I'm backing up here to the first step. God is all there is. I know that God is all there is. One infinite spirit, one life, one creator, in, through, and as all things. This one is omnipresent, everywhere present. This one is omnipotent, all powerful. And this one is omniscient, all knowing. This is who and what I am. I'm a creation of this infinite one. And I have all of the qualities, even though they are in potential. And I can choose to use it. So now I'm moving into God is I am, identifying. I am one with Spirit's power and love. Its essence is the truth of who I am, a perfect expression of God, created in the image and the likeness of Spirit, loved unconditionally and filled with God's power. The third step, John spoke it as I have. which is realization. Why realization? Because what we're doing is we're making what we've already said, we're making it real in our own individual lives. Speak your word in the present tense. It's never, I may. It's now. It's happening now. You are imprinting your consciousness with your intention. Affirm the way you wish to express and show up as a spiritual being, living from the spiritual attributes you are claiming. Peace, love, beauty, joy, abundance, freedom, creativity, wholeness, to name a few. Knowing all of this to be true, I use the power of my thoughts and my words to honor my feelings with unconditional love. When I forget, I listen to the still small voice within, and I wait for inner guidance. As I remain grounded in God's love, I'm guided with what is mine to do. Now we say this, our own words, in our own way. We state these things until we feel a shift, until we begin to feel lifted up and inspired and know that it really is the truth of us. We're speaking to the part of ourselves that doesn't believe it, that has doubts and fears. But what about this? But what about that? We're spiritualizing our mind, our intellect. We're loving into a greater truth our fear. And so we do this until we come to the point of like, wow, I'm accepting this. I'm allowing it. And acceptance is the expression of gratitude and thanksgiving. We can't be grateful about something that we haven't accepted. The very first time I heard that articulated, that was just like oh my God, that's true. But sometimes we can say we're grateful. We can say that we're thankful, and that begins to prime the pump as well. So don't have to throw that out. And the last step is release. Now we know that we can't release and let it go until we've accepted it. And once we do, we know that because there's one mind and it's the mind that we're using, and that mind is creative, that as soon as we are there in consciousness, we release it into the creative action of law. We know the seed has been planted, and that when a carrot is planted, you get a carrot. It may be a wimp carrot, or it may be a really healthy carrot, but you're still going to get a carrot. You're not going to get an onion. That's why it's so important that we're specific in the third step, in the I have, in the realization. How is this greater truth that God is all there is and that you're one with it? How is that beginning to bubble up in you, and how would you want to express it? Because you're going to be different than somebody else. So, I hope that um, this paper and the more specific explanation of how to spiritualize your mind in this practice is helpful. and that um, and that it will give you something if you're not using spiritual mind treatment, that it'll give you something to work with. And, another important thing that for us to remember is that in doing a practice like this, we always have to start where we are. It's never about starting at the end. Like, oh, it's already done. Well, it is, but we need to say what. And it's such a powerful practice when we may feel that like we're not enough or that things are falling apart around us or we're unclear about what is ours to do.